I'm nervous now.
Same projects starting over and over, and there's just no change. It's the doldrums of academia, and like, you are working on the same sentence for a week.
I didn't expect there to be a lot of like someone get involved in the department and be a part of the community here.
Yeah, and that's not the work you're paid for.
No.
You're working on the same project for 5 years, so the steps are not visible at
And
all.
if you have
But I'm just looking at Excel for 4 weeks straight.
your problems,
Exactly.
independent work, these are all good things. And if you can get rid of the burdens associated with it, it can be really nice and fun.
As Miley Cyrus says, it's the vibe.
Turns out nobody knows what they're doing.
Maybe that's our last word. Romanticize grad school. Hi everyone, thank you so much for clicking on this video. We're here with Robin, Alexus, and Victoria, and we're talking about mental health in grad school today. We're all grad students at University of Hawaii at Manoa. And let's go around and introduce ourselves, and then we can get right into it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm Robin. I'm from New York originally, but I've lived in Hawaii about 5 years now because I did my MA in second language studies, but discourse analysis. And then I'm now on my third or fourth year of the PhD, but doing self-regulated language learning and going almost into clinical psychiatry, so for psychology.
Cool. All right, and I'm Alexus, and I'm at the end of my third year here in biological oceanography, and I study zooplankton ecology.
And I'm Victoria, and I'm also in my third year in biological oceanography. But I look at micronauta, which are all those small fishes, squids, crustaceans that swim around, and potential impacts of deep sea mining on those critters. And I'm originally from Los Angeles, California.
Oh yeah, I'm also from Los Angeles. I forgot to say that.
And yeah, I'm in my fourth year also in second language studies, and I look at bilingualism. So thank you guys all for being here. Thank you for being here, and if you like this, hit the subscribe button. Okay, now let's get started. My first question, as grad students, right now, do you think grad school is impacting your mental health in any way?
Everything impacts my mental health.
Good
And
answer.
right now, grad school's I've narrowed things down, so it's my only obligation. So yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I just took my comprehensive exams, so I was under like a huge amount of stress, which, it doesn't do great things for the mental health.
Yeah.
But I'm done with that now, so now it's, more fun stuff, so things are going good.
Okay,
Yeah.
nice. What about you?
Yeah, I would also probably go with Robin's answer. Like, everything affects your mental health, so definitely grad school. And it's just a huge stressor, maybe.
Let's see, what do you guys think is maybe the biggest stressor in grad school on your lives now or throughout your entire grad school career? What's the hardest about it?
For me, I think it would be like expectations. There's a lot of expectations that you're set to meet as a graduate student, particularly in oceanography. Like, you need to do the science super well. You need to be able to present that science super well. You need to be able to network with other people. Do outreach to the local community because you're in the ocean and you're in an island in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah.
So that affects everyone. And then also, like, you want to do your advisor proud, right? Like, they chose you to be here for a reason, and you want to make sure, like, okay, I'm living up to what they expected.
Yeah.
So that would be the biggest thing.
Do you feel like you knew what was expected from you before starting? What was going to be expected from you?
I think I did, but I was in a unique position where I was in an undergraduate research program that explicitly told us, hey, this is what graduate school looks like.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
And yeah, it was very helpful because I knew going in like, okay, I'm going to need to do all these things. But also I think I didn't expect there to be a lot of like also wanting to get involved in the department and be a part of the community here.
Yeah.
And that's like a lot more stuff to do than you would expect.
Yeah. I definitely agree. We've talked about that before, that there's just
Like,
so many things.
So much admin that you don't realize,
Yeah.
like serving on committees.
Having undergraduates in your lab that you're mentoring.
Yeah, it is a lot.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I wasn't expecting.
Yeah, and that's not the work you're paid for.
No.
It's like,
There's this expectation that you're a good community member and you are like giving back to the community.
You're also only paid
in
for
those
20
ways.
hours a week and are easily working
Yeah.
40 to 50, maybe more.
yeah, for
Mhm.
sure.
Yeah.
What about you?
Interesting, because I've been here longer than
Yeah.
And I've had several different phases in it, and there's two distinct phases in my experience. And the first one is more like what you guys were talking about when you're taking classes and or teaching. It's that traditional stress, especially if you're still in the mindset of I have to get good grades, I have to please everyone, I have to do well, and there's the high workload. Yeah, there's all of that, and those are the traditional stresses. The thing is, even once you sort of disengage a bit and you realize, I don't have to get good grades, I'm here for myself. Or I am pursuing my own independent research. Or like you just heal your own anxieties and perfectionisms. And even once your schedule changes, so if you, like me, only have the dissertation to do and no teaching, no classes, no anything, there's a new type of stress.
Okay.
The chronic, just you are working on the same project.
Yeah.
You are working on the same sentence for a week. You are hitting the roadblocks, fixing it, roadblock on the same project, starting over and over, and there's just no change. It's the doldrums of academia, and like you don't even realize you're getting burned out because day to day, you can go to the beach, you can spend only 1 hour on this, and then go and do mentally healthy things, but it feels like your life is going nowhere and you're failing.
Yeah.
So, that's where I've been. And that's why I started just randomly going to Italy when I could.
Yeah.
Just to change things up.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's just such a long project. You're working on the same project for 5 years, so the steps are not visible at
And
all.
if you had, I had this idea for the project over 10 years ago, and I have started and failed on this particular project so many times, and I'm getting closer and closer, but it's like,
Teeny tiny steps.
exactly.
Yeah. I guess for you guys, your projects are a little bit different because
Yeah, they have very different components, maybe compared to yours. Like we have 3 different chapters, and then maybe this one requires this lab work, and then we can say something about that. Do a different set of things, get different results. That's like a different paper. So maybe it feels like it splits it up into like 3.
I also think what's
Also
interesting-
big projects.
I think what's interesting is we have these really like short periods of time, but they feel long in the moment. Where you're like at sea and you're being like the most productive you possibly can be because you're working like 14-hour days and you're getting all this data and you're just like constantly moving, and then you get back and suddenly you're like stuck in the lab or like on spreadsheets for weeks on end and you're just like, I don't know what's happening anymore. And so you have these big swells of productivity and then you're exhausted after that. And then you're like, okay, productivity in another way, but I'm just looking at Excel for 4 weeks straight.
Actually, I wish we had that kind of structure too, because I tried to self-impose that, but my style of that intense productivity, I've always called it finals week mode. The 10-hour days, the caffeine and all, but like, I physically cannot do that anymore. I get so burnt out, and I can only do it 2 days in a row max, even with an impending deadline. But imagine if the SLS students were just tossed off into a boat for an intensive do your research. I'd probably do well with that.
I see what you're saying.
I was thinking maybe having structure definitely helps it a little bit. I also read the other day that usually on like a normal workday, you should give only 80% of your productivity or effort so that you still have 20% in like finals week mode or whatever. Or I guess on your boat, but not usually. Like you should never give 100% when you're working on Excel.
I see.
Also, I mean, those numbers, any of those, the number of hours in a workday, the percentage or something, if you have any kind of chronic health issues, physical or mental, or any hidden disabilities or anything, you gotta scale back those numbers. And it's hard not to feel bad when you know you can go up to 200% of the average person sometimes. But your day-to-day is 15%. And kind of accepting that and learning how to work on it is something I'm still fine-tuning.
Yeah, for sure. What do your guys' work days look like now that we're talking about that? The most typical work day. What do you guys think?
Do you want to start?
Yeah, I can start. I guess it's pretty variable. I mean, I guess it should start at 9, either like at home or at the office. And then, I don't know, there's 2 modes. Like if I have a lot of lab work, I can be in the lab from like 9 to 5.
I know, you don't even eat lunch.
Maybe don't even eat lunch or like quick 30 15-minute lunch, leave. That's like one mode. And then the other is like work from home, take a nice 1 hour lunch, do a little bit more work, and yeah, maybe stop working at like 3 or 4, because I think depending, like if I'm doing work that I can do from home, it's probably more like draining thinking work or like writing work. So I'm probably a little bit more burnt out by like 3 or 4.
Yeah. Do you think you can just say, okay, now I'm done with work and I'm starting again tomorrow? Or do you think it's always still on your mind?
No, I think it's always
It's
on my
always-
mind. And there's always
Yeah.
something that has to be done. Like, okay, maybe I finished up this project and that feels great, but also now I have all of this other stuff. Like, you're never done.
Yeah, there's always something that's like
Yeah.
needs to be done, and it's also like expectations of like what your advisor thinks you should be able to achieve in a week.
Yeah.
And that's different based on every single person. But yeah, I mean, my work day looks like slightly different because I'm usually
Yeah.
I like coming into the office because it gives me my social time with other people.
Yeah.
And I'm usually here like around 8, 9, and then I usually leave sometime around 5. But
Yeah.
you know, depending on my productivity that day, I could either be working like nonstop the whole time, or I could, you know, end up taking a longer lunch and like going to like do some more admin based things with other people, or yeah, it varies. Like today was a lot of like moving from place to place, but tomorrow's gonna be a lot of like sitting on my computer and writing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, for me, my days are completely open, unstructured, and up to me.
Yeah.
So I've gotten into a pattern where I try to wake up super early. You know, usually I will be up by 6 or 7 at the latest.
Yeah.
But I take a really long time getting ready, getting my routines and all, and like feeling ready for the day. And I'm actually been tracking that and trying to get that time down because I want to be at a cafe as soon as it opens. Like 7 a.m. should be my average start time. Usually it's more like 8. But then, so my brain works between the hours of 6 a.m. and 11 a.m., no matter what time I wake up.
Yeah.
But it also, for the type of work I have to do, it can do 2.5 hours max on a good day. Usually it's more like 1 hour. But
Mhm.
if I'm at the cafe, so usually I'd be like 8 to 11 a.m. at a cafe to work. It's got to be the right cafe. The vibe has to be right. Yeah. And it's like, that's also when I'll get all my texting or emails. It's like, that's the time when I can handle working on a screen and doing words. But my brain will burn out. And that's it for the day. So even though I have trained myself to accept that and to just be like mentally shutting off. Now, if I switch to music and transcribing stuff and composing, or I go to play saxophone or something, I can get a solid 8 hours doing fun things.
Yeah.
If I tell myself I'll go home, eat something, and then get back to work, I will go home, go to bed, and not get up.
Oh, for sure.
Ever.
Yeah.
Start again 6 a.m. the next morning.
Yeah.
So, but that's pretty much every day has that 1 to 2 hours of getting ready, 1 to 2 hours of good cafe work time, and the rest is a big question mark.
Yeah. So all of our days are very different.
Yeah.
Very different. And I also know other people that their days look even different.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you compare yourself to others and that affects your mental health?
The
Yeah.
more interaction,
Yeah.
the more interaction I have with other people, especially the people who overbook themselves and are always running around and stuff, especially knowing like I have ADHD, they have ADHD, it's easy to start feeling really hard on myself.
Mm-hmm.
But like maybe I'm mentally more healthier than they are. Like I eat better. I take care of myself more. And it's okay that I only work 1 hour a day. But yeah, no, the more I talk to other grad students who are like, I'm also 2 years behind, it feels good. And the more I talk to people who are doing a lot, it feels bad.
I just talked to a friend yesterday who said in their department they have 10-year PhDs.
Yeah, like
Oh my
that's
God.
the norm. Yeah.
My advisor just recently, she was like, "Oh no, you're doing great." Like I have some people who, they're on that many years. People have other jobs, they have other stuff, and that's when I go like, "Oh no, I don't have another job." I'm just do your laundry is a half a day task.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Or
No, I just 10 years is a really long time.
Yeah.
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 I was thinking you start grad school in your 20s, but you end it in your 30s.
Yeah, that's
Already there.
I guess
But I guess, yeah, Victoria, I feel like you're like the perfect student that does everything.
Yeah.
It's like all the, host coffee hour, TG's on Friday, is in the office 8 to like 5. Do you compare yourself to other people?
Yeah, are you kidding me? All the time. I'm always like, oh no, they did so much better than me. They're doing so much more. They're further
Already
ahead.
past comps. No.
Well, that wasn't your fault.
Yeah.
No, yeah, all the time. Like it's constant comparison, especially like when you kind of know what other people are going through as well. And everything. I compare myself to Gabby all the time.
Yeah. But then you're comparing yourself to someone that's like 2 years ahead of you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I have to like just remind myself like, oh, this person has been here longer than me, or this person is like much further ahead than me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I try not to do that like to people within my cohort, just because like I love the people in my cohort and I want to keep like enjoying their presence. And if I compare myself, I'm gonna feel like a little sad.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do that.
Right. Do you find when you are comparing yourself to someone who seems like, in your opinion, they're doing better, does that drive you to do more? Or does it just make it harder to do what you're already doing?
Fully depends on the day. Sometimes I'm like, I want to be like this person and it's very inspiring. And then other times I'm like, I'm sad now. I'm
always
for like
that.
3 hours, and then I'm gonna like kick myself into gear and be like, just work again, Victoria.
Yeah.
Yeah, comparisons are hard. I think I've talked to so many PhD students that I always thought were, the best PhD students there could be.
Yeah.
And every single time I talked to them, they said, what? I thought that about you. I don't have my stuff together. And I think, no, I could not be the person anyone thinks that about.
I mean, I feel that way about you just on the fact that you have now lapped me like in our studies. But we're studying such wildly different things and have different approaches to stuff that it's not an actual comparison, but it's still like it's just a reminder for me to pause and reevaluate what I'm doing, not to feel good or bad about it.
Yeah.
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 And I think it's important to remember, like, graduate school, you're there because you want to be there and you want to study this. Nobody's pushed you, like, unless you have, like, crazy parents or something. Nobody's, like, pushed you into this position. You're there because you want to learn. You find this thing interesting. Like, you want to do this to, like, better your career. And so that means, like, you get to make your own timeline. Like, it's okay if you're going to be a year longer than somebody else or 2 years longer. Like, that is, like, you're not in a deadline. It's, you can keep... if you want to be there longer, that's okay.
If I knew that I could have funding for 10 years, that actually would sound great. Like, my stress is coming from the fact that my current relatively cushy grad student lifestyle, like, has a deadline.
Yeah.
And after that, it's going to be multiple jobs.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not like I would ever fit into a regular 9 to 5 cubicle setting. So
exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah. I feel like every day I think, I don't want to do this anymore. But then I think, what else would I be doing? Like, this is how I want to spend my time.
And that's why I think there's a much higher concentration of both diagnosed and undiagnosed neurodivergence. The more I talk to people in our dorm, like, the more it's becoming obvious. Because it is a non-traditional work setting of following niche, like your passions, your interests, your problems, independent work. These are all good things. And if you can get rid of the burdens associated with it, it can be really nice and fun. But there is all that self-imposed stuff we've been conditioned to believe from usually early childhood. In terms of performance and all that.
Maybe what we can take away from it is that the whole PhD... I don't know. It's annoying that it's just one project because you feel like you're working towards a goal, but it shouldn't be. It should be the whole process that you're enjoying.
Yeah.
As Miley Cyrus says, it's the climb.
Yeah. Are you thinking of going into academia?
I am, yes. But mainly because I really enjoy teaching and mentoring, and that's a great opportunity to do it.
Okay, perfect. Follow-up question. Do you think you want to be a professor that doesn't put as much expectations on your students? Or, I don't know, do you think you're going to forget what it's like to be a student? Or what's your thought on it?
That's a really good question. I think that I want to be someone that helps their students meet their own goals. So not the goals that I want for them.
Okay.
Even though I'm probably going to be like, oh, you'd be really good at this thing. I want to be someone to support them to reach what they want to do, not to force things on them. And just, be Be there to teach them along the way and be like, hey, here's all the opportunities that are available to you. It's not just one thing. You don't have to be a professor like I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah, good. What about you?
Do I want to go into academia?
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I don't really know if I like teaching because I just haven't done a lot of it. Like, I like the idea of teaching, but if I had to actually teach a class or like actually TA class here, I guess that's how I can figure it out a little bit more. Like I do.
201 with me.
Yeah, I know. But it's a pay cut. That I don't know.
No, they're matching it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that would help.
Yeah.
So yeah, eventually TAing would be really good in order to figure that out. And I do really like the mentoring. And I like science outreach and stuff like that.
Outreach
why
is so much fun.
Yeah. But maybe that's a little bit different from teaching and stuff. Or teaching at a like university setting.
Mm-hmm.
And I like doing research. I like helping, like the undergrad that I had in the lab. I thought that was the best thing. So I can see me being happy with it, just maybe not the additional, like, if I already feel stressed out by the expectations of what it's like to be a grad student, as far as, like, the admin and stuff, I feel like that's, like, 50 times worse for our advisors. Like, they have to manage us and everything else, so.
Yeah, next time we should invite professors to ask how their mental health is.
Yeah.
I think Jeff has a surprisingly good mental health.
Yeah, he
But he also turns off at the end of the day when he's at home.
I think that's that, but he also doesn't have anyone higher than himself being like, you better sit on this Excel sheet for this long. Or,
Yeah.
What about you?
Well, we'll see what the next few years holds and then I'll decide. But it's there's aspects of academia where it's like, this is my skill set that people pay me for. And specifically teaching, actually, not teaching languages, but teaching self-regulation skills, teaching mental health things, like building. I don't know if my students actually liked it, but teaching the intro course, it actually changed my perspective on something. It's like, it didn't matter what grade the student got. I cared to see that they improved, that they were putting effort in, and that meant so much more for me that I reflected back on my own. If I got a 98 out of 100, I failed kind of entire life. So I feel like I could have an enjoyable life just teaching and trying to help the students in front of me. But the pressure of having to publish or do research or conferences, again, I think I could do that, but I don't know yet how to do it without burning out. And I'm at the point where I wish I could just learn a performance skill and get, like, why couldn't I have become an artist in some way? But the thing is, anytime I do one of those, I burn out of that. So it's unknown, but some form of directly interacting with people and helping people has to be part of it.
Okay, yeah, I think I really like that. And I'm wondering if maybe other generations, like the generations that are our professors right now, have never focused on it as much as we do now. So maybe to them it's just normal to be under that much pressure, and they don't really care about teaching us self-regulation skills. And
in our department, the self-regulation, that stuff, the autonomy and all, that's much newer. But even some of the critical pedagogy or the TBLT, like, there's enough of that thread that the professors I've worked with more directly, and we've had a slightly different set, but the ones I've worked with more directly, even if they seem really strict and intense at times, I keep being surprised that they're more relaxed than I am, that I'm putting the pressures on myself. They aren't. So, but it's very department specific. So.
Yeah.
Advisor specific.
Especially, I mean, Hawaii, an SLS program in Hawaii is going to be way more chill than
your
program. Any other combination.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Like, our program gets compared a lot to, like, Woodsville, which is on the East Coast. It's in Massachusetts. And that one I've heard is just, like, extremely competitive and, like, a constant pressure. Whereas, like, people come here and they can go to the beach on the weekends and enjoy themselves. And people have said, like, that's part of why they choose this program over other spots.
Yeah, more of, I mean, that's how I felt when I got here, too. More of a work-life balance in general.
Yeah.
Like, people were working normal days, but not anything too crazy.
Yeah.
And it wasn't expected from advisors.
Yeah. Like from what I remember of the physics program here, hearing about that, like, people were dropping out having mental health issues. Like, it was incredibly intense.
Yeah.
Again, from what I heard from someone.
Yeah, it's very discipline specific. Oceanography, like, you love nature and you love the environment, and so
you want to
people tend to be like a little bit more like, hey, you should go out and like see the sunshine.
Yeah.
Than other disciplines for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something that stuck with me from my very first orientation here back in 2017, just a random, like, to all the new students, not an SLS thing or anything. I remember someone giving a presentation about, like, you know, like, everyone always tries to do their best or whatever, and they're pouring out their jug of water, putting things out, but then if you run out of water or whatever, you have to refill it. I don't remember the actual words of the metaphor, but I think it's a common metaphor. Like, you have to make sure you've got enough water in your tank before you can keep putting out.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, how about we
The
all
self
share?
first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything else after.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect tip for everyone who's in the same situation. Maybe we can all give like our one piece of advice for people for grad students that are struggling with expectations. Anything you've learned from being here for 3 years?
For me, it's like make time for community.
Yeah.
It's really important to have people that are in your corner, and that are there to like give you a pep talk when you need it.
Yeah.
Or to like settle you down and be like, hey, like here's actually what's going on. Like I know it seems like the world is crashing and burning, but it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're gonna be fine. And also it just gives you a chance to like recharge and have fun.
Yeah.
And do something different. Like that's for me has like what has really kept me going is the community here and having friends and people to just like talk about what this is all like with and also have a break from it all with.
Yeah.
Yeah, and everyone says that like the biggest thing about a PhD is that it's so isolating because like you're the expert in your own little tiny thing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm sure that definitely helps with.
Yeah, I can get really stuck in like the looking at my fish heads constantly and being like, I'm the only person in the lab and I'm stuck in there for like 8 hours at a time and I'm like, oh, okay, I need to go outside and eat lunch with people.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say make sure that you're a whole person outside of your work. If work did not exist, who are you?
Yeah.
And I didn't even really learn that until it was more of a relationship situation that wore me down to have to build myself back up. But what is your identity? What do you associate with yourself? What are your beliefs about yourself? What brings you joy? Like if I don't have my nails on and my heels and stuff, frequently enough, I will sink into depression and not even realize why. What are your interests, your hobbies? Like actually go out and pursue them. Take care of yourself. Because again, if you don't know who you are, then those expectations are the only thing you have.
Yeah,
which is a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
Especially when it's not going well. Yeah.
Do that. Don't care what others think. Everyone's struggling anyway.
Yeah.
I think, along my own journey, it was it's like having to give a presentation once, a conference thing once, and I was so anxious that, it was a disaster. Speaking too fast, frantic, sweat, even, the reviews after were like, And then when I had to defend my proposal in comps, I could get, I had a professor tell me directly, no, this is bad. And I was like, I know. and I have ideas to fix it. And I was like, because it's not my identity anymore. So I can take that step back and have a sense of humor about it and therefore the work goes better.
Yeah. I think that's a really good thing because criticism is a big thing too. I feel like, especially in the beginning. Yeah.
But that negative feedback, I wish I had gotten more. Everyone telling me that everything's fine means I go off on my own strange path, missing pieces and not doing it right. If I had been course corrected earlier, life would be so much easier now. So that negative feedback, the critical feedback, even if they could have said it nicer, that is the useful piece. And you still have to filter for are they correct or not. But the emotional side, you need to be able to take that away and just use it to help you.
Yeah.
It's all about the constructive part. Are they doing this to be mean or are they doing this to be helpful?
Yeah.
Yourself of that.
Yeah.
Because sometimes advisors don't realize that they're saying things more forcefully than they mean to, and then they're like, "Oh no!"
That's
not what I meant. This is what I mean. This is what I mean.
Yeah. Especially over email when you can't really see someone's reaction to it.
Yeah,
that's the worst.
My advisor never uses exclamation points. It's all periods. And it's like, oh, he hates me, and then you talk to him in person, you're like, oh no, he doesn't.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, do you want to?
Yeah. I guess so. They covered the main two, or some really good ones. And I guess something that wasn't mentioned was probably that a feel like as a grad student, you experience like imposter syndrome as soon as you get here, right? Because you're at the top of your class, like that's why you are where you are. And they're like, wow, you got into this great program because you must be excellent. But then you come here, especially if you're going into a new field, like not really knowing much about it as other people maybe, and just constantly comparing yourself to other people in your class.
Other excellent people.
Yeah, exactly.
For interdisciplinary work, especially where you're not an expert in
In
anything,
any.
you're an expert in a combination. In any detail of your study, there's someone else who knows your role.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think just realizing that everyone's feeling the exact same way, and comparing themselves to other people too. And no one really has anything figured out. Like we're kind of just doing it day by day.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, if you feel like that, everyone else probably is too.
I remember
Yeah.
advisors still feel imposter syndrome all the time too. Like it's
Yeah.
not just the graduate students,
Yeah.
it's your advisors also.
Yeah.
And if you look at your advisor and you're like, oh my god, they do such cool stuff, that means that like they're probably looking at you the same way.
Yeah.
They're feeling the same way. So you have other people looking at you and thinking the same thing.
yeah, I like
Yeah.
that.
And I
That's
feel
good.
like that's kind of just the nature of the field or like what you're doing is that, you know, not the only thing that matters, but kind of the only thing that matters are like your publications and stuff and like how much research you're putting out there
Yeah.
and stuff. So
The
it
quality
seems
of that
very,
research.
and it seems very natural to just like compare yourself to someone that maybe has more papers
Yeah.
or whose research is a little bit further
Yeah.
along.
But that could also be they were on a giant project.
Yeah,
Everybody got to
exactly.
put it on the authorship,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
Or
Yeah.
it could be that they're just like churning out things that are not as well done as like
Yeah,
a
you never
quality
know.
piece of work.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's all about like, are you putting in the amount of effort to produce something quality rather than
Yeah.
the quantity of it all.
Yeah.
And then just meeting your own expectations.
Yeah.
Yeah, like she said, it's your own thing that you're doing. You know, we don't have to do it. We choose to be here.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
We get to be here.
Well, I guess, or I hope more people see things like this, talks like this, and
Yeah.
are a little bit easier on themselves when they start grad school and when they're in their first years. So hopefully we can help a few people. We should definitely come back, talk more,
Yeah.
because this was fun.
Yeah.
I think this was good. Yeah, any last things to say?
No.
I mean, I feel like I could add that the exact project I've been banging my head against a wall for a year, my advisor finally at one point was just like, go back to the drawing board. And I just looked up some other studies, some other questionnaires and stuff, just to find out that in the last 3 years, everyone in this field is discussing and arguing and confused about the exact same topic. I thought it was just me making problems out of nothing.
Yeah.
Turns out nobody knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just
Go ahead.
If you get to go to graduate school, it's a really cool opportunity. Not everybody has a privilege to be able to put like 5 years aside or something to just study something you're really interested in. That
Yeah.
So just like put that into perspective sometimes and be like, oh, this is cool. Like this is something I get to do, not something I have to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's or what sparks joy or romanticize your life or post everything on Instagram. Like,
Yeah.
those sorts of things can really help.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
it
It's
is.
a really fun, sparkly side of life, even if you're in school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that's our last word. Romanticize grad school. Okay, thank you so much for watching this video. Come back again. We'll be back soon.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.